Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. It's Via the Guerrilla Economist coming to you live. And we got our boys back again today. We have the one and only Crypto Z. We got Crypto Cowboy and we got Frank. And guys, here's the deal. We so many things. This is the weekend market recap. So if you missed the Friday show, well, here's a recap for everything that's been that we talked about on the Friday show. So without further ado, guys, what's going on? How are you?
What's going on, V?
Great. We're
doing
good. We're
great.
having a crazy morning. You know, we got a lot of FUD out there. We got a lot of people. Man, it's like people want to jump off the top of their house, and don't worry about it, guys. It's cryptos. It always comes back. At least that's what it seems. Of course, we don't give financial advice here on the show. Everything here is for purely entertainment purposes only. So, Z, how you feeling about it, Z?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I tell all of my friends and family that just stick with it. Just like Nick said, or just like Cowboy said, I should say. Sorry.
Who's this Nick?
Everything is gonna be fine, guys. This is a shift, and just like how it shifted before, it will shift back up here soon.
Yeah. So this is Frank, by the way. So we were on Friday. We were talking. We had all hoped, and it wasn't just you guys. I'd seen a bunch of people, and honestly, I'm not a chartist. I don't have the experience you guys have, but what little I do have, it really looked like we had hit some support around, what was it, about
8,300.
300. It seemed to bounce off that pretty nicely, and a lot of people thought that was likely. Nick, you were saying you wanted to see a little bit more of a healthy bouncing around there before it was confirmed, and sure enough, we wake up today. Well, I don't know when. What was it? Did it break last night or was it this morning? But we broke through the next support, not only through the 8,300, but the 7,500, which was the next support level, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the things we're talking about today, and I guess we want to just check in. We have some encouraging stuff to talk about as well, but we want to have our eyes open here and talk about where we can expect Bitcoin to go next. And of course, what tends to happen is Bitcoin brings the rest of the market with it for some reason. So it's impacting all the cryptos, all the altcoins and Litecoin and stuff like that. So what's happening? We broke the 8,300, obviously. Nick's screen is up. Sorry, Cowboy's screen is up right now. Oh, by the way, Nick is not the.
You want to use that screen share, man. Go ahead, and if you remember how to do that.
I thought I did.
There you go. No, you did. You got to hit application. You got to choose application.
Choose the application window.
Wait.
I'll do it again. I did that. I'll do it again.
Do that.
Application window.
While he's doing that, I wanted to confirm for those who were asking in the chat room last week that this is not that our Crypto Cowboy, who we were calling him something else the other day, is not the Ponzi scheme guy.
Yeah, it's two different Nicks.
He's not Crypto Nick. He is not Crypto Nick. As some of you guys may know.
No Ponzi pumpers here, folks. We're into the real cryptos. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got off, and all of a sudden he said, "Hey, I hope people don't think I'm that Ponzi guy." and sure enough, some of the first comments were like, "Is that Ponzi scheme guy?"
Oh yeah, the haters, man. They thought I was the new crypto, Madoff. I was looking to hide my face. Next time I came on, I was going to have one of those like voice changers. Well, today the Crypto Cowboy.
You get the one that sounds like Bane.
Dude, I used to have.
Do you feel in charge?
do you feel in charge? That's my favorite part in the whole movie. The way Bane puts his hand on the guy's shoulder.
I know, you gotta love it, man.
Dude, is anything creepier than that? And also,
is there anything more alpha than that?
Oh, I love it, dude. How do they make him look so big? He's not that big in real life, is he?
Well, he was wearing. Tom Hardy's only like 5'10".
Yeah, he's like my height. He's like
he heavily bulked up for that movie.
So the same thing they do with Tom Cruise. They make him wear platforms.
Tom Cruise.
I think Tom Cruise wears platforms in his private time, though.
I think so.
Yeah, Tom Cruise actually stands in a box all the time.
He just walks on the backs of other Scientologists.
Yes, exactly. His slaves.
He has 20 Scientologists who just run in front of him like a never-ending train track, and he just stands on their backs.
Yep.
I'm sure he does more to their backs than that. But hey, as we're looking at the charts, so
Okay, yeah. So we have your chart up here, and it seems like it's staying up like it should.
Yes,
so, yeah.
Perfect. Sorry about the technical difficulty.
No.
I'm Cowboy. I don't use computers. So we dipped below that support, and we dipped pretty low, guys. I did a Fibonacci retracement back here. If you can see on there, it's kind of that for us users not familiar with that terminology. It's that rainbow kind of a square around what you're seeing, and a Fibonacci retracement is basically it's a way to sort of predict possible bounces, and that 7,300. You have your 8590 right here. That's one of their predicted ones, but you kind of combine that with other things. Like I look back here to find a support. It might come close to a Fibonacci. I use at least 3 indicators on everything, but more or less our support was right around here. And it broke through that 8,300 and it's gone down. And there's a lot of market manipulation, I think. Z, what do you think the bottom is? I think you and I were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. So just to let people know, the Fibonacci retracement, essentially, when you talk about in terms of finance, the stock market, and so forth, the Fibonacci retracement indicator is the way it works is that essentially the coin or the stock that you are currently using the Fibonacci retracement should follow a 70% retracement. That is how on book, on theory, retracement should act. So if you look at right here, if you take a look at the 70% retracement right there, it should put you. Can you move your mouse where the 70% retracement is, Nick?
The 786.
The exact 70%, so 30% off the bottom.
Okay, really that's right about here.
Correct. So we essentially retrace below that, which could be said as a bad thing, but I personally take it as a good thing. What that essentially tells me is that I expect the market to skyrocket back up here, and it's going to skyrocket back up to previous all-time highs and further.
Oh,
this gives me that indication.
When you wake up in the morning and you hear that beeping sound, that's my truck, and it's backing up right up to the Bitcoin store.
Yeah, correct.
It's your horse because you're a cowboy.
So it's a massive buy market right now. I mean, it's a great time to stock up, especially those who've taken profit from the 20,000 point high.
Absolutely. This is a perfect time. What I suggest, what I am doing, I should say, is that I am slowly averaging down. So essentially, what I'm averaging down means is that I'm going to be buying a little bit of Bitcoin right now. I'll watch the market. If it drops a little bit lower, I'll buy some Bitcoin. Then I won't buy it all in one go right now, and I'm just going to slowly average down to the bottom. If it rises up, then great. I bought some at this low. If it doesn't, rise back up and it keeps going down, I'll keep buying back down until it finally hits the floor. Now, personally, I think the floor, a big indicator for the floor will be the 5K marker. I think last time I checked, the hard support was 5,600. Was the next really strong support after 8,300. It's also a big psychological support, the 5K marker right there. So we'll see how strong people's wills are.
Yeah, and to kind of go on that, Z and I, we don't do the same TA all the time, but his numbers are right matching my TA, which happens like a lot. So if you look on
TA is your technical analysis.
Forgive me, that's our technical analysis. And
Mr. Smarty Pants in his chart.
I just want to show everybody my chart, okay? So yeah, we are kind of charty dorks.
Chart dorks.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Sorry. We also did physique bodybuilding, but hey, we do a lot of stuff. All right, so you got these 3 bars right here. These are the supports that I drew, and Z's numbers pretty much matched right up. We have around the high 7s. The 83 we talked about before. I didn't even draw that, but we had another one in like the mid 7s, 76-ish, down to the 60. I have like a 62. Z had a 65. And then at the bottom here is that 5,000-ish. And the way I draw these is I look at prior ceilings. So there's a lot of ways to kind of do that. You can use Fibonacci retracements. You can line up 10 TAs in one room and they'll all face different directions, but Z's and I's tend to line up. You know, so I know, Frank, you were kind of interested in talking about taking profit, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, and this ties into some of the stuff that we're going to be doing together, adding some educational stuff to the crypto school. We talked on Friday, we're going to be opening our pro trade room pretty soon, basically waiting for it to be worth people's while, because when things are happening like this, it's not a time to do a lot of trade calls, obviously. So we're waiting for things to brighten up a bit. But in addition to that, and this is just for everybody who's in the crypto school at the cryptoschool.io, we want to start doing next level stuff, talking about trading. And, you know, I was actually having this conversation with my brother this afternoon, and we were saying, man, you know, we've kind of approached this, just to give you sort of my thinking here. We've approached cryptos as kind of hodlers for a while, right? And part of that is just, you know, we wouldn't know when to trade in or out. We don't want to miss anything, and so we'd rather just increase our holdings more than anything, because we think we haven't seen anything yet. And that's a very defensible philosophy. But on a day like today, when you see your holding, the value of what you have decrease so much, you start to say to yourself, man, it would have been really cool if I pulled, you know, a few $1,000 or 20 or 40 or 50 or whatever, you know, whatever is for you, some profits off of the top to put aside when things were raging. And, you know, I've been learning a lot from you guys, learning a lot just from my own study. And while it's impossible to totally predict the market, you know, looking back, things were getting pretty hot there at the 20,000 mark. Probably would have been reasonable to pull some profits from there, as well as some of the altcoins, which had really skyrocketed. And so, you know, when we're talking about adding some teaching on trading, one of the things we'll be talking about, and what I want you to address a little bit now, is when and how to reasonably take profits, so that when there's a drawdown, you made some money at the top. It's not cataclysmic. You already took your profits. And, you know, I heard somebody say this. I don't know if it was one of you guys last week or whatever, but it was, you know, the saying, nobody goes poor taking profits. Or, you know, nobody blows out all of their account if they take profits, right? So can you guys speak to that? I know, Cowboy, you were telling me that you guys in December, when things were really raging, had in fact taken some profits. So, you know, we'll be doing some videos on how to approach this and how to think about it. But can you give us just a broad view of your philosophy on that and how that helps when you hit a day like today?
Sure. Yeah. I think it was actually, I heard V say it. You can't go broke taking profit.
Was it V?
Yeah, so I believe that was it. But if you look here, I took profit twice. It probably was.
Smart guy, that V.
Yeah, I don't know where he gets his info.
What?
Just kidding. I joke, maybe too much. Z, all right. So Z, when did you and I take profit? Do you remember about what day?
So we took profit essentially late November, early December. We took some profit. At that time, I believe Bitcoin was about 17.5, maybe even 18,000 during that time. Now, I personally come from a family of investors, and you know, some of my good friends are heavy investors. You know, not in the crypto space, but in all various spaces. And the philosophy that I try to live by is essentially 10% of every 10% of every 10K that I earn is what I like to take profit on.
Nice.
Now, when you take that, it's up to you. I mean, you know, a more disciplined me would love to say, you know, every 10K I make, I take, you know, $1,000 out, right? But at that time, I happened to hit, you know, the 100K marker. So at that time, I took a nice 10% off of that.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you also looking at the charts? Are you looking at your indicators when you're? I mean, obviously, if something looks like it's about to, you know, tear through the roof, you're probably not going to want to take anything out. Like, what are you looking for when you're doing that?
I look for it to be tearing through the roof, and that's when I take profit out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and here's the thing, Z and I. Actually, I took profit twice in the month of December. So I think I was having breakfast. I woke up and I went to sleep. Bitcoin was like $12,000 is right here. right in this time. And it was something ridiculous. And I get up and it's like 13 or 14. I go downstairs to make breakfast. It's like 15 or 16.
Right.
Okay. Markets are at this point euphoric. You have 9 years to get to 10 grand and all of a sudden you're at 15 or 16.
Right.
Look, in this game, when you hit the top, at my experience is you're not going to be able to get your money. Okay. Exchanges shut down. You know, I mean, unless you can find somebody on the street to pay you cash, then you're kind of stuck. So, you know, and I take money on the way when I see a good opportunity.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I saw it going euphoric and I set a sell order at about 18.5. And then I went and had breakfast and I came back and looked at my profits.
Right.
So, you know, you could be a little less blasé about it. You know, some people want to sit there and be ready to hit the sell button, but when the exchanges go haywire like that, you know, IOTA, if anybody remembers that whole thing, IOTA went bonkers. And I'm sitting in the airport because my fiance and I were traveling and I'm just like, look, honey, I just made XYZ amount of money. And she's like, good, I'm tired of your crypto talk. And so, you know, so
you know you've done well if the woman in your life is sick of hearing about how much money you have. It's like, wow, my life has changed.
Yeah,
my wife is actually sick of hearing about how much money.
Yeah, she'll feel a lot better when she finds out I bought her 1,000 PPT several months ago. But
oh, you are a good man.
Yeah,
even I feel attracted to you now. That's incredible.
Good one.
That's amazing.
So anyhow, that's one way. And then Z and I what we did was we kind of looked at the trend, and you know, there are things to look for. Like if you look on the daily, just below my fun story here about breakfast, I'm going to move that away. You're having what is almost 3 black crows right here. Okay. So 3 black crows, that's what this is. The 3 red bars that are long on the daily. I mean, I think you could probably read it on other charts. And when I say the daily, I know we're kind of dealing with, you know, some newer people to crypto. You look up here and that says 1 day. Okay.
So each bar is a day.
Each bar is a day. Yes. So, you know, if you have 3 days in a row where you have 3 long bars on a downturn, that's a terrible sign. And look what you have. You have this, and then you have 3, basically that kind of qualifies. And then you have this mess. And, you know, there's manipulation here. We won't get too deep into that right now, but the long story short, Z and I saw the trend and we saw this right here and we did take profit again. Around this time on the same day, we made an agreement like, hey guys, you know, let's do this. All right. So, you know, it is really tempting psychologically to think that the party is never going to end.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that because there's a reverse. I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to say this. There's, you know, you have FUD on the one hand that gets everybody running out of the market, but then there's FOMO, fear of missing out, on the way up. And, you know, we've all watched those tear jerking videos where you know, somebody smart predicts Bitcoin 1 million, right? And we're like, yes, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be a million. I'm gonna have my Lambo, and you know, and it's, you know, you want to be in on it. And when you start to see these spikes, you go, you know, maybe today's the day. I mean, you know, I'm joking, but there is that feeling of, you know, I don't want to be out when something awesome happens. So it sounds to me like you guys were not emotional about it. You didn't go with the FOMO. Which sounds very cool. And don't go with the FOMO. We should do we need to start producing raps, man. And I don't mean like stupid raps. I mean old school, like Run DMC, where you got like the heavy metal in the background.
Oh,
like the rock.
That would be epic.
Yeah. I will supply that. Okay.
Whoa.
So back
to this way.
Don't go with the FOMO. It's like it'll be the new insane in the brain, insane in the membrane. Yeah, telling you. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but you guys resisted the emotional FOMO, and you weren't afraid that it was gonna go Lambo on you, and so you got out when you saw that it was at this emotional high. You weren't afraid that you were gonna miss out. You were afraid that you weren't gonna be able to get out.
Well, people learn from their own mistakes, and wise people learn from other people's mistakes. And so, you know, what we did was Z and I got in a while ago. How many crashes we been through, Z?
Man, we've been through, I think, like 4 or 5.
Yeah,
four
you know,
heavy ones.
to go through those emotions, like, oh, you know, FOMO, is it ever going to stop? And then, okay, well, we learned that that's just not the case. We studied charts. We looked at the way that they go. We educated ourselves in how to read charts, market sentiment, and psychological buying, and things like that. And so we made mistakes in the beginning. And the reason that we are part of the crypto school coming up is that we want to shave some time off of people's learning curve. So, you know, when I look at this right here on the chart, if you guys are still seeing the chart there, that high spike where I took profit, this amount of raise, these two green bars are the longest green bars on that screen by a long shot.
Yeah.
And so when you see that proportion, I mean, this is the next one. I bet you it's about 35% of this green bar. Yeah. You see another green bar coming after it like that, you have such a massive change that basically, not to get too far into Ichimoku, but this is your baseline, this red line. This is part of the Ichimoku indicator. So is this cloud, and you know, we'll eventually teach a whole class on all that, but to keep it really simple for the purposes of what we're looking at, everything wants to gravitate towards this baseline right here, this red line, and it has that blue line following it. And so you see that it has made a massive divergence from that baseline all the way up here. Okay, this is when emotions start popping in. And you know, Ichimoku more tracks, it'll track basic market movements, but it begins to fail when emotion and FOMO kicks in. And it's something Z always says, you can't chart FOMO.
Cannot chart it.
Yeah, it's just, you can't chart it. You just sell it. I sell FOMO, period.
Wow.
So anyway, you know, you got it going away from this baseline, and this baseline is not really correcting too far. I mean, it is being dragged up by this, but Z and I look at this and we go, oh, you know what? I mean, this is such a massive divergence. This is where we sell. And like, that's what we do. And, you know, we're happy to share what we do with people.
And real fast, technically, since this is so clear right here, you can actually see the exit point perfectly right there with Bitcoin as the red and blue. Yep, right there. You can see that when those lines connected right there, you could see crossed. You could see the exit point for Bitcoin, which is actually played out perfectly.
What do you mean you could see the exit point?
So essentially, right there where Nick has his glove.
I see it.
Yeah. So as you can see, the blue line crossed over the red line, right?
Yeah.
So in layman's, I mean, in just to not go too deep into it, but the Ichimoku essentially states that when those two lines cross paths, if the blue line is above the red line, it's an entry point. Ichimoku is fantastic for entry points, but not the best for exit points. But because of we're using such a big timeline right now, it's showing a very clear exit point where the blue line dipped below the red line. And as you can see from there, it's been trailing bearish, and it has not signaled an entry point yet for Bitcoin.
So in this case, it was very textbook.
It was a very distinct exit point right there. Correct.
And not to get too much of a commercial here, but I mean, you guys are blowing my mind with this stuff, and the thought of having our very own room where you guys are pointing this stuff out as it's happening is getting me extremely excited.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I can't wait till we get started, and I can't wait to supplement that with education. It's gonna be awesome. So this is very, very helpful. So we're asking you guys to guess. I'm putting you on the spot. What's your? You already gave us some analysis, but do you think are you expecting it to bounce here, or do you think we've got some? I know you gave us two possibilities. Where are you sort of leaning for that?
Well, Z,
and then I have one more question. Remind me, I have another question.
Well, let's Z. Are you able to share everything that we talked about earlier?
So I'm not able to share everything I know, but a trusted source of mine, who's quite a connected person into this whole financial industry, he pretty much stated that he was essentially at some sort of a roundtable meeting, you may call it, and some of the big players are indicating a 5K marker. A 5K marker, and that it was gonna break slightly below 5,000. Okay. Now, if you look at now, remember, like we said, cryptocurrencies has a lot of manipulations. This is a prime example of manipulation right there. This guy knows some inside information.
You went a little Mr. Roboto on us. Can you say that again?
Oh yeah. So
sentences.
Yeah. So we heard that essentially. it's going to drop below 5K.
Okay,
Is what I've heard. Now this is some, quote unquote, some inside information. I don't know the legitimacy of it. However, this is a trusted source of mine.
Okay.
Now, if you want to look at the technical analysis, as we stated before, I think 5,300 to 5,500 was the next hard support. And then below that, I'm not honestly not sure.
Yeah, actually, I had my hard support at like 50-50.
There you go. So there you go, 5,500. So I would like to think that the floor is somewhat between 4,900 to 5,500. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Bitcoin.
This is Bitcoin. However, actually, I'm not sure whether you guys saw this, but Reuters Business just tweeted today. Justin, U.S. securities regulator, to tell lawmakers he's open to federal regulation for virtual currencies testimony. So this could be positive news for Bitcoin, where you could see an upside here quicker than what we expected.
Yeah.
That was the next question. You guys, Crypto Cowboy, you actually said this when Z was analyzing the chart before. You indicated you're backing the truck up. Can you tell us why and where you think it will go once it does recover?
Sure. Why I'm doing it is basically, now what I'm about to say is not necessarily related to what Z just mentioned and the roundtable and all that. I'm just going to say it, and maybe it's related, maybe it's not. But if you take a look around the world, you have a lot of FUD. We talked about, I think we talked about India FUD last week, and you guys mentioned it this morning as well on the Rogue Mornings. So, I mean, it's such a stupid thing. India comes out with a statement saying that they're not going to let Bitcoin be their national currency. And then, Anderson Cooper comes out and says India's going to ban Bitcoin. I don't think Anderson Cooper really said that. I just like to imitate what I imagine he to be. And so, basically,
does he sound anything like that?
No, actually, he doesn't. He doesn't sound.
No, he doesn't.
You're Anderson Cooper.
When he gets home, when he clocks out, he goes home. That's how he sounds like to his boyfriend.
Your Anderson Cooper is like my wife's Yoda impersonation. It bears zero resemblance to anything.
Like me, it does not sound.
Right, said, yeah. See, that's pretty good. My wife just goes, "So you like Yoda, huh?" Like it makes no sense at all. That's what your Anderson Cooper is like.
That's horrible.
Yeah, we should interview We should interview Yoda and Arnold Schwarzenegger as done by my wife, because it would blow your mind how there's just zero connection between
That's hilarious, man.
Anyway, sorry, dude. Back to reality here. So we had the India FUD, but you were about to tell us where you think Bitcoin was going to go before Anderson Cooper interrupted you.
Oh yeah, well, the point of even mentioning the India FUD was that's like saying, okay, they said they're not going to use it as their national currency. Hey, newsflash, nobody's using it as their national currency.
Who even wanted that?
That's just, what is that? And how does it turn into banning? I don't know. This is what they do. They put out a bigger story that's not true. Yeah. There's a rumor out that China wants to put in its great firewall, meaning basically blocking their people from buying cryptos. You got all the banks and credit card companies, the major central related banks, the cartel type banks. They're not letting you use credit cards to buy crypto. And basically what they're doing is, all these things together equal FUD and pushing the price down. So I guarantee you that there's a big group of guys, maybe they're all in the same room, some leftover secret hotel in Davos, probably smells funny. And, they're all kind of sitting around, laughing about what great price they're getting on Bitcoin and when they're going to do it. And so, that's why I'm backing up my truck, because basically if you see manipulation and it's like really clear that there's manipulation, my opinion, and I think it's actually verifiable, is that there's a lot of institutional money in Bitcoin. And let me tell you, those guys don't put money where they're going to lose. So the way I see it is, well, I'm going to put my money where they're putting their money. And they're pretty smart. They tend to buy at the bottom. So here we are.
Okay, cool. So there's no like technical analysis that says from here we go 200% or anything like that. It's just a matter of, it seems like everything's lining up for that.
Yeah. Z, what do you think about the future of the price?
Well, okay. So going back to the going back to the Fibonacci retracement, right? So as I stated, you know, the Fib retracement is on theory, it's, an asset is supposed to retrace 70%.
Right.
Now, every percent it goes below that, in theory, it's supposed to rise back up additionally to that. So let's just say it goes back down 70%, it rises back up to all-time highs. It's supposed to switch over. So let's just say it goes back down 80%, then it's supposed to rise 10% higher than all-time highs. Now that's theoretical, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go ahead and state that, then you know, you could expect Bitcoin to rise up to, you know, 21,000 if it follows the, you know, the pure theoretical situation. Now, recently, I'm not sure whether you guys know what the Palm Beach Confidential is with that Tika guy. Anyway. Yeah, they have a report that costs a lot of money every single month, and essentially they're stating that you know, they've made some great calls before. They're one of the first people to call Bitcoin to hit the 10K rise. They're ones who called Neo at, like, I think $1 or like underneath $1. They called a bunch of really good coins. They're saying, Tika is essentially saying that Bitcoin is going to be $250,000 by as soon as April.
Wow.
Yeah, and his understanding behind it, his reason behind it is that $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion is going to enter the market come April time.
Okay.
Now, I don't understand why he's saying that, but this is a gentleman who's pretty well connected. He clearly knows something from his.
I understand why. I know exactly why. If that happens, I'll tell you why. There's a massive crisis in the bond market. Okay, there's nobody's really talking about that.
Okay, cool.
U.S. treasuries are a huge problem. Okay, U.S. dollar is a huge problem. One of the things I've written about years ago, and I've talked about it in my colleague Charles Hugh Smith of Two Minds blog. He's also written about it as well. We talked about as the U.S. stock market begins to unravel, when the real economic chickens come home to roost, you're going to see a march towards equities, cryptos, and gold. That's what all this rearing up that we're seeing in the sign, all these signs that we're seeing in the marketplace. We're seeing that rearing up because these are all predicated on what's happening internationally, which is something that I'm very much have the finger to the pulse to. So if this guy is saying, if he gives that a clue, say, hey, Bitcoin's going to go to 250, hell, man, that's very much possible, because what's going to happen is once you leave the safe harbor of bonds, where are you going to go? Where are you going to go when you have a 10-year yield sitting where it is and climbing? Where are you going to go? Yeah. Well, you're going to go to gold, you're going to go to equities, and you're going to go into the hottest asset right now, which are cryptos.
Yeah.
Perfect. See, that's what I love about this channel. You know, you get guys who know just various aspects of you know, the financial market altogether. Because I that's something that's completely, you know, strange to me. I did not even know that at all.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
like you know, we actually, Z and I talk about silver a lot, and I think gold is awesome. In fact, Jim Rickards did a great treatment on that in his case for gold, and V has talked about that, and that's maybe like good enough for. I don't know if we want to go into it on this show, but I think metals is a great place to diversify into. As in particular, I love metals.
Yeah, as a place to move profits. Yeah,
that's where I put profits. And then, you know, while Z was talking about kind of where we think Bitcoin is going, I kind of brought it up on the chart. My Fibonacci trend wasn't quite ready for that, but I did kind of do a basic estimation. And essentially Z was saying, like, from the top here around 19.6, 19.7 on GDAX, which is basically Coinbase, we end up going all the way down to 66, wherever it is right now. So I drew a line here to go from the bottom to the top. And then I actually copied and pasted and put the lines on top of each other. This is kind of this is like ghetto graphing. This is like, yo, hey, you want to see some graphing? I'll do it for you. I don't know nothing about like the Fibonacci, but I can put some lines on there and tell you what's up. So,
doing lines.
So yeah, doing lines.
I always say that's what
that's our next song, Frank.
It's always got doing lines.
It's doing lines.
I was gonna start a whole financial services company. The whole thing based on doing lines.
Wolf of Wall Street style.
Yeah, there's a lot of financial services companies that do lines every day, Frank. Every day.
Yeah, we were just bringing it to the front. We're not
So
messing
do you
around.
wanna
We
build
know
a
that we know that
snowman?
it's all about lines. Draw a line, do a line.
So you want to build
It's like a
snowman?
drinking game. Draw a line on the chart, then do a line off the table. You know, that's basically what financial markets are all about these days.
And by the way, none of that is financial advice for sure. That's so
Actually, I'm
false.
taking a stand. That was no, I'm kidding. All right.
Yeah, all right. That was it. The rest of it, no, none of it.
Sorry, man. Go back to your cool ghetto chart.
Ghetto chart. So we're doing lines together here, and if you go here, I'm sorry. Look, we seriously do this. Like, we're not just jokesters. Like, we mean business here.
No, that's obvious. It's obvious. Go ahead.
So if you actually were to take that same ratio from top to bottom below the 1.0 on this is actually called the Fibonacci trend trend predictor. So if you just basically go the same amount up that you went down, and it is at 33,000 or so. You know, and of course, once you get there, what happens? I mean, is there going to be FOMO? Cliff High, I'll tell you, somewhere between 40 and 60 before we see the top. So, you know, that's just a little more info for you on that.
Yeah. And we do have, you know, Cliff's last report has been widely talked about that he was looking at, and he tweeted out just the other day that February was going to be really rocky, but not like catastrophic. And that I think his predictions were end of February into March, we were going to see some very positive things happen. At least that was my recollection of his most recent report. So, so that's exciting. Always helpful to have something from Cliff to hold on to.
Yeah, exactly.
What has the prophet spoken?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Am I doing my lines right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. So that's very helpful stuff, guys. And you know, we're really excited to be working with you and bringing this stuff into the crypto school. V,
yo,
are we about ready to wrap? Because I think we got a phone call.
Yeah, we covered everything. Why don't you plug all the stuff that we got working on and we got going on with these guys? I'm excited for one. It's going to be friggin' awesome, man. It's going to be the best of its kind.
Now is the time to get into the crypto school. You got the basics there. It's the cryptoschool.io. That's the cryptoschool.io. You got to have the, or else you end up in Kazakhstan or something like that. There's a website that has the URL we couldn't get. So it's the cryptoschool.io. And very bright future there. We're very excited about what we're going to do. We have our basic classes that you can get now, lifetime access for a low fee, well worth it. And then we're going to be adding some teaching on charting straight from these guys. We're very excited about that. And then, of course, keep an eye out. We're going to be adding that add-on, which is going to be a paid monthly chat room where they're going to give us their trades. And you're thinking, wow, there's a lot to learn here. Well, it's really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting to be learning about charting while someone is saying, here's what I'm doing and why, if you want to know. And it's not obviously never investment advice, but it is getting in their heads and seing what they're doing.
Frank, we can use the word trading, bro. It's okay.
Okay.
You have to use a chart.
What did I say? What did I say?
We're gonna do some charting. Okay, bro. I looked it up.
Did you use the Anderson Cooper voice on me? It's a direct challenge. But anyway, yeah,
it's hilarious. It's trading. We're gonna be in the trading room, not a charting room. That's what you do for a map.
We're gonna be doing maps.
Crypto, not cartography.
We're gonna be doing some crafts together. It's gonna be very therapeutic. We'll be doing lines.
I've got some Play-Doh for all of you who
Play-Doh. It's going to be a safe room, a safe space to go. No, there is no safe space in crypto. This is for tough people. But anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing. The crypto. Also, I did want to mention one little remain calm thing, not related to this. We did mention last week when we were on with Mr. X talking about crypto and tax things. Which, by the way, go back and listen to that if you haven't. What a great discussion. Very different perspective coming from X on crypto and taxes. But we have limited time at Remain Calm. We're helping people who have. We don't do taxes. We're not H&R Block. Please, for the love of God, don't even ask. But if you have collection issues, like you owe money, Mr. X is an expert on navigating those very dangerous waters. And he just because he's cool like that said, "Hey Frank, why don't we do this thing?" You know, and for limited time, we on our site, if you go to remaincalm.net/tax, remaincalm.net/tax, You can fill out, it doesn't cost you anything. You can fill out the forms. Mr. X will review them and give you a strategy. We even have the prices on there. It's extremely affordable compared if you're in trouble, it's extremely affordable. It's well worth it. So check that out. Otherwise, the crypto school. Oh, V. I started a Twitter account for the crypto school.
Why don't you plug the Twitter, bro? Go ahead.
It's there's no one is following it right now, like not even my mom. It's RC, like remain calm, RC Crypto School. So it's at RC Crypto School.
No, I'm on there now. You have a follower. It says A Cooper Boy Toy.
A Cooper Boy Toy. Wow.
Oh man.
Oh my god. Already Anderson Cooper is following you, Frank.
I'm literally lightheaded from laughing so hard. I pulled away from the mic. So I didn't
Cooper Boy Toy.
Killing me.
Hey, can I
RC Crypto School on Twitter.
I'll say that one more time, Frank. I interrupted.
At RC Crypto School.
We didn't have at the Crypto School available. Was that taken?
Obviously not. I would have done that. Yeah, no. Finding a Twitter handle with Crypto School, and it was like a lot of trial and error. So it's RC as in remain calm. RC Crypto School.
Hey, with that being said.
I wanted to say real quick about Remain Calm. You know what? I've been working with Remain Calm for like 3 or 4 months, and I've worked with a lot of different companies. I have never gotten such a quick response anytime I have a question. These guys are getting back to you like right away. So I can't say anything bad about them. Great guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. And with that being said, folks, we are over and out. Check it out, thecryptoschool.io. Trading room coming soon. We're out.